Who were the major kingdoms or dynasties that ruled different regions of ancient India before the Common Era, BCE, during this period? Were there any notable empires or rulers that had a significant impact on shaping early India? How did these kingdoms interact with each other diplomatically and economically? Were there instances of territorial conflicts or wars between major Indian kingdoms? Were there any significant foreign interactions or influences in ancient India? How did the caste system influence governance, social hierarchies, and power dynamics among various communities? To know about these questions, join Dr. Abdulwasey Mohammed and Professor Dr. Puniyani Ji.
I just started recording now. Okay, please go ahead.
In the same society, sort of a division of labor started coming. And also because of the agricultural surplus. Now, some people could devote themselves totally to non-productive activities.
Right.
They are the ones who became the creators of our holy scriptures. They were the ones who were involved in worship and other rituals which are associated with that. We can call it. So this is the Brahminical group. So from here, now why Brahminism comes particularly in India, one of the reasons is the stable society. Some people call it Asiatic mode of production. Like, here the weather conditions, the fertility of the land, and the particular balance of sunshine, winter, rains, that created a sort of a self-sufficient village. That is one of the theories. There may be many others. So anyway, Brahminism comes in, and Vedas, they articulate this Brahminical ideology very firmly. Now, in reaction to this Brahminical culture, in 599, Lord Mahavir comes in. He lays the foundation of Jainism in India.
So this is also before present, 500.
This is before Common Era.
Before Common Era. Okay.
So Jainism, again, its emphasis is on this world. Doesn't talk of the other world. Jainism talks of equality and non-violence. Now, why it talks of non-violence? Because at that time, there was a heavy sacrifice of animals in Vedic rituals. If you see, there is this yajna. Animals are sacrificed, including cow. And so Jainism talks of non-violence, and Jainism also talks against caste system. It talks of equality. And Brahminical focus is on the other world, Brahma. Brahma, and we are all the creations of Brahma. Vedas are creation of Brahma, while Jainism talks practically of this world, non-violence and equality. On similar ground, in 560 BC, before Common Era, Gautam Buddha comes in. Gautam Buddha becomes a very powerful voice against the hierarchical values of Brahminical. Now, this is the major shifting point of Indian culture and Indian religious traditions. Because Brahminism is there. Now, Brahminism first challenged by Jainism. Now, Brahminism is being challenged by Buddhism. And this challenge of Buddhism is far and wide. Buddhism is more practical. It talks of equality. It focuses on this world. It also talks on non-violence.
So going by the current argument, both Jainism and Buddhism, they are again the descendants of the same Brahmins who were initially, like right now, the claim by these Sanatana Dharma people that everyone were originally Hindus, Brahmins, coming from the same descendants.
So this is a Brahminical construction. It is a Brahminical propaganda. Why it is a Brahminical propaganda? Because the values of Jainism and Buddhism are totally in contrast to the values of Brahminism. Whenever we are talking of any religion, we have to go by the values of that religion. Right? It is not a question that because the religion developed here, so it has to be in the fold of Brahminism or Hinduism that way. See, ultimately you identify the religion with its code philosophy, rituals, and its moral values. They totally, Jainism and Buddhism, they totally stand against the Brahminical values of hierarchy. So what is the central point of Brahminism? Faith in the other world, Brahma. Then a hierarchy which is unchangeable because it is created by Brahma. In contrast to this, Jainism and Buddhism both talk of non-violence, both talk of equality,
Okay.
both talk of reality of this world. So
Mhm.
they are a challenge to Brahmanism.
So I'm actually quite intrigued by this when you said the Brahmins, they talk about the other world, the Brahma. Could you just shed some more light on what is that other world is described as?
The other world is generally this supernatural powers, like, even the worship of, as I told you, initially the people living here were polytheists,
Okay.
believing in many gods and goddesses.
Mhm.
Now, gradually they came to the conclusion of a single god, formless god, and other particular concepts. So, other world, why they meant that this world is created by Brahma,
Okay.
the value systems are created by Brahma, caste is created by Brahma,
Oh.
Vedas are created by Brahma.
Uh-huh.
That is the other world.
So they put the onus on Brahma of this casteism.
Correct. They did,
Oh.
rather putting the onus, they derive their legitimacy from Brahma.
Oh, I see. I see. So this is, according to them, it's not a human creation. It's a divine creation.
It is a divine creation.
All right.
While right at that time, Charvak had challenged them. Charvak is another great philosopher
Mhm.
who had challenged them that all these are created by this world.
Okay.
It is the Brahminical order which has created Vedas, caste system, and
Right.
other sort of things. So challenges to this Brahminical system, which primarily aims at a exploitation of society in the lower caste by saying that this is your duty because you did sins in the past life, so you have to live the life like this.
Mhm.
So this was challenged first by Charvak, but Charvak did not establish any religious order.
Okay.
But Mahavir, Jainism, Buddhism,
All
they
right.
came as powerful forces in the society.
Right.
And after Ashoka,
Uh-huh.
this Maurya Empire, Chandragupta Maurya, and later on Ashoka, he adopted Buddhism.
I see.
And then Buddhism became a sort of a state religion,
Uh-huh.
because of which it spread far and wide.
Uh-huh. So where is the picture of Bharata coming in? Is it still later?
See, Bharat is a
It's a
word.
mythological figure who ruled India.
Yeah, Bharat is a mythological figure which has actually many sources.
Right.
Actually, it is during Vedic period also that this concept of Bharat comes in.
Uh-huh.
In Rigved also, in 18th hymn,
Yeah.
18th hymn of Rigved mentions about a king called Sudas,
Yes.
Sudas,
Uh-huh.
who's inheritor of Bharat.
Bharat. Uh-huh.
Then there is in Mahabharata, this Kauravas and Pandavas,
Uh-huh.
they are supposed to be inheritors of Bharat dynasty.
In the same period or later?
See now, this creation of these books comes in serial order. So first there is Vedas, then comes in Ramayana, Mahabharata, in that particular order.
Okay.
But this Bharat, mention of Bharat,
Uh-huh.
Bharatvarsh is there in Vedas also.
Okay.
And most interestingly, in Jain literature,
Right.
that is supposed to be Chakravarti Bharat, the son of the first Jain Tirthankar.
Okay.
So Bharat word comes from various traditions, but mainly in the name of some of the ruler. So it is not one Bharat which we
Yeah.
have.
Oh, okay. So it's a kind of like pharaohs in Egypt. There are over 200 years. They have different pharaohs.
Probably. I don't know about pharaohs, but here I could find many sources of this word Bharat, Bharatvarsh, and they all being very different to each other. Like Jain Tirthankar, first Jain Tirthankar son being Bharat, is very different from the Bharat of who's the ancestor of Kauravas and Pandavas.
Okay.
Right.
I see. I see.
So how the word Bharat comes. Of course, if you are indicating at the word Hindu, Hindu word comes from the Arabian and Persian sources.
All right. Right.
And river Indus is a central marker of the name.
Yeah, the Greeks who call it Hindu. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Actually, Greeks also called it India.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not the British who first called it India.
Yes, yes, yes.
The Greeks in 4th century who called it India.
Yeah.
And before the Greeks, it were Arabs and Iranians.
Yes.
When they came here, in their language, word so is used less often.
Right.
So that becomes her. So Sindhu becomes Hindu. So Hindu becomes the name of the land, which is on the eastern side of Sindhu. So that's so Bharat and Hindu These
So
are the
this
words.
Indus Valley civilization between 2800 BC and 1800 BC,
Yeah.
wherein we have this mythological emperor Bharata who conquered the land and ruled over this mass for a long period. Is the same what you're referring to? That what we read in history books?
Harappan civilization, not much is known. I
Okay.
think this Bharat which I am talking about is post-Harappan.
Okay.
So
Right.
let's not confuse. Let's only know there are remnants of Harappan civilization and that it was the urban civilization. That's the only thing we know. But
Okay.
all other things which we describe, they come from the Vedic period onwards.
Okay. Which is 320 BC.
Yeah, 320.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So then, of course, as I said, Buddhism spread. And as Buddhism spread, later as Ashoka embraced it, he also sent his preachers to Southeast Asia,
Mhm.
Thailand, Ceylon, places whereby Buddhism spread far and wide. Now, Buddhism was a very powerful force in the social, as a social movement
Mhm.
because it gave a lot of liberation to the lower caste who also coming on the equal ground. And on the top of it, Emperor Ashok himself had a very humane approach to social system. So he, in his edicts, which are there on the stones, we come to read about many values
Right.
which he tried to commit. But the main thing which happened with Ashoka, that the Brahminical class, it got marginalized
Oh,
because its major income was dependent on rituals and the other.
which is still there.
Now it has come back. That's what I'm coming to.
Okay.
So during Ashokan period, it comes down.
Mhm.
So what happens? The Brahminical forces reorganize. And third generation of this thing, Ashoka, his grandson, Prithirath.
Okay.
He has a commander who's a Brahmin,
Okay.
Pushyamitra Shunga.
Mhm.
He kills Prithirath, he takes over the power, and that is the beginning of again Brahminical coming back to power.
Okay.
So that is one at the side of power.
Approximate which era this happened? Like.
So this must be 100 years after Ashoka.
Okay. Right.
Correct. And then later on, back up there is this Shashank who got cut off Bodhi tree as a symbol of Buddhism. That also comes in a bit later, 2-3 centuries later.
So
and
before that, when the people, yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
One more thing I want to tell you, that at theoretical level, that Buddhism's values started getting challenged, mainly in the form of books which we know today as Manusmriti.
Oh, okay.
Manusmriti comes into
Interesting.
3rd century before Common Era to 2nd century after Common Era.
All right.
So one doesn't know whether it was a single Brahmin who wrote it or it is a series of writings which are compiled as Manusmriti, which reinforce the Brahminical values in the society.
Okay.
So see two parallels. On one side comes Pushyamitra Shunga, another side comes the ideology of Manusmriti,
Right.
which tries to take over, bring back and restore Brahminism.
I see. So just going back, what was the kind of a worship people had during Brahminical period? Then how it shifted to Buddhist period? I believe during the time of Buddhist period, there was only worship to one Buddha, right? But before that, how was the worship of the people?
Worship of the people, as I told you, there were multiple gods.
Okay.
Even at that time, even some goddesses were also there.
Okay.
So worship was in the form of idol worship.
Right.
Because till you believe God as a physical force or goddesses as physical force, the idols are there.
Okay.
Once you start believing it is a spiritual force, complex God, then the worship format changes. Then people talk of worship without idols or praying without idols. That comes in later. So there were multiple forms of worship around different gods and goddesses. There are multiple idols also of these gods and goddesses. Now, Buddha discouraged such type of a worship.
Oh, okay.
Now, it is another matter that today people have made Buddha himself.
Yeah.
They worship him, which is not according to the principles of Buddhism.
He himself never projected as something to be worthy of worship. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay.
Now, so one more thing I'll tell you before you. Now, Brahminical reaction comes in very strong. So they try to co-opt Buddhism into the pantheon of Sanatan Hindu Dharma.
Okay.
So they had this reincarnation avatar.
Mhm.
They started calling Lord Gautam Buddha as a ninth avatar of Vishnu.
Oh,
Here,
okay.
Vishnu is the central deity who keeps taking rebirth into different forms. And Buddha is supposed to be one of them according to them, which is not true.
Oh,
Which is
okay.
true. The truth is, Buddha himself was against all such forms of
Mhm.
worship of God
Mhm.
or even belief in God. One
Mhm.
can go to the extent of saying Buddhism is close to atheism.
Right, right.
Minimum, you can say agnosticism, because he said, I don't know what is there, but I know about this world. I know about problems of this world which need to be sorted out, rather than knowing about the other world about which I don't know.
Right. So in our school days, what we learned about Buddha was that he was fed up with this materialistic world. So he secluded himself in some faraway places, started meditating, and then slowly his people gathered and his disciples increased. That's how it started. So this is in a very simplistic way that has been entered into the text. But before Buddha had an influence on the society, the Brahmanical period that was overly overwhelming into the entire society. Were there any conflicts within that society, and what was the basis of these contentions or conflicts?
So see, those times like pre-Buddha,
Were they like one big ruler or small kingdoms?
there were multiple small kingdoms.
Okay.
Today the claim is that there is a uniform
Exactly.
kingdom.
Exactly.
But these are small clans, small kingdoms.
Tribes.
And Buddha's life is full of stories where he tries to mediate between fight of two kings,
Oh, okay.
urging them not to fight and try to reconcile and all.
And what would be the reason for their fight?
Their fight scene. Kings generally fight
For power or
power, mainly for power.
nothing to do with religion?
Nothing to do with, see, for religion, actually, I believe nobody fights for religion. People fight for their material interest. That is absolutely. So there were multiple kingdoms. And the King Bharat also, who is mentioned mythologically. There is not firm account of the boundaries of his kingdom.
Okay.
And as I told you, there is not one Bharat. There are many Bharats. So each Bharat must be having their own area of rulership and all that.
Right.
So it is difficult to say much about that.
So today when they refer to Bharat, they don't know which Bharat they're referring to.
Yeah, people generally probably maybe refer to this Bharat, who is the ancestor of Kauravas and Pandavas. Okay. But they never elaborate. Bharat is, they are very assertive in their this thing, and they don't believe in answering questions or elaborating them, because they want to use it as a symbol to deepen their political power rather than anything really good happening to the society. So I don't believe that there is something substantial in their ideological clarity. And when you are powerful, you want to assert things, then these ideological clarities you always gloss over and try to impose things which just are there.
Right. Apart from the few names that you mentioned, who were other most influential rulers or kings of these post-Buddhist period?
Post-Buddhist, see, I think Guptas were the most ones.
Chandragupta Maurya, that we know about.
After that, one was of Chola kings in South India, particularly.
Right.
But they had a different area of kingdom. Cholas had a very strong rulership. Their kingdom also spread to Ceylon, and even Malaysia, they invaded part of it.
So how were they spiritually connected with previous kings and these new Cholas and Mauryas, with Brahmins and Jains and Buddhists?
See, Jain sect that way shrunk. Buddhism persisted.
Okay.
But as I told you, then Buddhism spread with Emperor Ashok. But then with Pushyamitra Shunga coming, Buddhism was abolished from this country.
Okay.
Physically and intellectually by Manusmriti and other books, and later on by Shankaracharya. So Buddhism was abolished. So they were all Brahminical kings later on who came.
So when you say abolish, what happened to those who believed in Buddhism?
Some of them were killed.
Okay.
Some of them ran away.
Okay.
Fled to the other countries. So Buddhism practically came to a knot.
Okay.
This
Okay. Right. Similar thing didn't happen with the Jains. Jains assimilated themselves with the Brahmins in a way that they're still, even as we are talking today, they're kind of a very good, harmony between Hindus and Jains. There's no point
Yeah.
of contention.
Yeah. See, actually, that way, Jains, in that sense, at one level, their rituals are very rigid
Okay.
about non-violence.
Mm.
About non-violence, they remain rigid.
Mm.
About other things, they gradually got assimilated into the broader Brahminic culture, which is
Okay.
prevalent. Today, many section of Jains actually is much more radical as far as Hindu nationalist ideology is concerned
Mhm.
than
Brahmin
others.
themselves. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So what I understood so far is there are diverse belief system, and there are diverse political systems that shape the ancient India. It was not as it has been, and it is going on right now, that they project it as a one monolithic culture that is being passed on from generation to generation, and that is what we now represent. So all Indians belong to that particular Vedic culture.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So how Cholas came into existence? Because before Cholas, the whole landscape was dominated by these, what you have explained, from Brahmins to Jains to Buddhists and Ashokas and Chandragupta Mauryas. So from where Cholas came in?
See, Cholas were South Indian kingdoms. There were many kingdoms in South India, as I told you. There was no unified rule, Hindu rule.
Was there any linkage between North and South at that time? Like any kind of a bilateral trade, political interaction, or just secluded? They don't know each other.
See, it is between the two.
Mhm.
They know each other, but they are not assimilated into each other.
Right.
There are geographical differences, and there are different rulers also. So
Right.
in South India also, there were many dynasties. Chola were among the most powerful ones. They defeated Chalukyas and
Yeah.
others, and
Okay.
they dominate the whole area.
Mhm.
And during a particular point of time, they became very strong. But all these were again ideologically at Brahminical level.
Right.
Let's confuse. After the exit of Buddhism, after Emperor Ashok, there is a counter revolution, as Ambedkar calls it, and Buddhism is not prevalent here.
Right.
What comes back is Brahminism.
Okay. So even the South Indians, they had some traits of Brahminism, the way
Yes,
they practice politics and religion. Okay. Yet they still had conflicts and fighting among, for the dominance.
Yeah, kings had always. See, kings,
Yes.
they were not dictated by any divine mandate that this whole area is yours or all that.
Right.
There was no United Nations.
So they were like expansionism is still existing at that time. They wanted
all
to
the
have
time. All the time.
all the
Kings expansion is there all the time.
So yeah, the reason why I'm emphasizing this particular point of conflict among themselves for political reasons, expansion and power, is when Arab traders started coming to India, and then Muhammad bin Qasim attacked the kings in India. Yeah, this is construed as a religious point of view rather than a political expansion of the empire. So what was the motivation then and now? From the discussion what we have, it appears that everywhere it's all political power, political might, that everyone want to impose their kingdom.
See, if you see, first is that Arab traders, let's leave out. If they never tried to conquer.
Yeah.
They were traders.
Yes.
And more interested in making profit through.
Sure.
Now, Muhammad bin Qasim's case was different. Muhammad bin Qasim was the first Muslim king to invade only Sindh part of the India.
Okay.
Only Sindh.
All right.
He ruled it there. Raja Dahir was there. He defeated him, and he ruled there for some time. But before that, also you see that there were Greeks who came to invade. Alexander also came. There were Kushanas and other also dynasties who tried to come and rule here. Greeks are the best example of that. Right. So it is nothing divine about it.
Okay.
Every king wanted to expand as much as possible.
Right.
So we try to see, oh, the king who expands more, and if that king belongs to my religion, I glorify that. I
Right.
glorify that. And if the king is from other religion, he wants to expand, we look down upon. But kingdoms have their own logic.
Yeah.
They expand and they exploit, and they have their own way of luxurious way of living, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
Yeah. The same thing in a way, or one way or the other, evolve into the political democratic exploitation, as we are seeing now with the parties. They are exploiting to stay in power with whatever who can who.
Yeah, but there is some different logic. Logics are different. At least now for semblance there is a rule of law. Semblance.
Yeah.
And we can talk about rule of law if the ruler is not very dictatorial, and we can throw them out sometimes.
Right.
To elections. Sometimes I don't know about future, but earlier, what 70 years we have seen that we could throw out the rulers if we don't like them. So that is what democracy is about. Kings couldn't be thrown out by the people. Kings were thrown out by their own clan, by their own family, or by the other king. So there is a different logic.
Right. Yeah. That's a big difference. Yes. Yeah. So all in all, so far the discussion what we had is there is a huge shades of variation in the history of this particular land, the subcontinent as we know. It was not a monolithic culture, and it has never been a monolithic culture. And there was not one single entity that was ruling for over many years. There were different rulers, different power exchanging hands. And as time evolved, traditions change, cultures change, mode of worship change. And yet as you said, and as Ambedkar coined it, revolution of the Brahmanical concept again coming back and emphasizing itself as the dominant way of life. So initially, when you said, when we go back to our first start discussion, the Africans, as historians know from 65,000 years, whatever, when they started migrating all across the globe, and when they came to this place, what was their belief system? Any idea on that?
See, no, there's actually now it is only in 2019 that population genetics has consolidated itself as a science. So to know that genetically we are all connected from there is good enough at the moment.
Okay.
And that their culture, their values, and whether there was a prevalence of some sort of a religion. Organized religion was anyway not there.
Right.
But people might have been worshipping their ancestors.
Nature.
Like he was ancestors and nature worship is common all over. So that might have been the case. That's a pure guesswork. But more studies probably may come forward and tell us about it.
So in that case, when we still go back to the African origin of human species, because there's also a Darwinism here playing into action, that how a species evolved from single cell into what we know as a Homo sapiens and then human beings. So any idea about the first pair of human beings from their progeny started?
No, that's it. First pair of human beings, all like that. Most of the religions do that. Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa. But that is some sort of a thing which is a creationist thinking.
Okay.
That God created man, woman, and woman was created either from a rib or from somewhere. So that is I am not talking of that.
Even if we discount that theory of creationism, so the evolution, whatever the shape and form of some living entity, because for us to produce a baby, we need a pair, male and female. So when was the first one that recorded that there was a?
It is a transition from anthropoid ape towards human beings.
Right.
They were also creating. Our creation of our next generation is no different from apes and monkeys did. So question is, what Darwin says that it is not suddenly that human beings appeared. It was a gradual process of evolution that over a period of lakhs of years, that the evolution went on changing. Earlier species continued, new species, which we call higher order, also came up. Higher order in the sense they could stand on the legs. That's the main difference.
Major.
So that's so first pair is impossible to guess in Darwinian scheme of things.
And it's also then difficult to say if that was in that African region. It could be anywhere on the planet. And also the shape that we have now of the planet, the globe, geologists describe the shape of the planet, continents in a different way at that time. Right?
Yeah, of course. You know, there was a land mass migration that was also there.
Yes, yes.
The states of Arctic zone, they also shifted.
Yes.
So actually what this South African theory tells that definitely human beings were first coming into that area.
Okay.
That is a scientific thing,
right,
which has come to be proved lately, only lately. So far, of course, it was all dispersed. This population genetic studies with plus linguistic studies, but other things have been going on. So it has been consolidated in the last few years to confirm that South Africa was the first region where human beings came into existence.
Sometimes I feel, I may be wrong, sometimes I feel that this theory which is proposed by the scientists could possibly be because, I mean, it's kind of some racist motivation attached to this kind of a theory, that because if you look at some of the South Africans, right, it's easy to conclude that they might have come from that origin or this origin because they look so different. Could that be a possibility that's the motivation for the scientists to connect the dots?
I don't think so. Why? I tell you, the race theory was propounded by the superior Western powers, trying to prove themselves of superior racial category. But when we talk of origin of human beings in South Africa, that political superiority of South Africa was not there. It was the Europeans who claimed to be belonging to a superior race, Aryan race and other things. So actually this population genetics theory debunks this whole racial theory to the core.
Right. Okay.
This is no more acceptable even by others, that there is a superior race which dominated the world.
Right. Interesting. So when the Brahmins initially started this caste hierarchy within the population, were there still like Shudras and Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Brahmins in the same order as it is now?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it is a carryover of the same thing which was created, which is very well defined in Vedas and Manusmriti.
So the Aryans had this initially with them?
Aryans initially, that is difficult to say because Aryans came once from the South Russia area, Stepes mountain. I think the caste system gradually developed once they were living on the banks of Ganga.
Okay.
So, and it's a clear-cut mention comes in the Rig Veda. So, with the timing of Rig Veda, you can say first this was a fluid Varna system. Later on, it became rigid.
Oh, right. Okay. So anyone could be Brahmin or this and that?
Probably.
Okay. So who is the author of Veda, Rig Veda?
No, Rig Veda is, I think, according to Brahmins themselves, it is Lord Brahma.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, it was a learned class,
of that time,
who collectively wrote these Vedas.
Right. So, like we now have constitutions, they sit and write according to their society.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And that has become like a religious text.
Yeah. It's also a literary expression of that society.
Right.
One should give them credit that it was also literary expression of that society.
Okay. Which part of this history, if you go back to this mythological figure of the Ganesha comes into picture?
Ganesha,
because I was listening to Sri. He was explaining in a very explicit details. Yeah, how I mean the lady had a dirt on her body. She pulled that dirt and made a statue out of it, and then that became a which period of time of this incident, if it all happened, Is there any historical evidence to that?
See, history and mythology are two separate things.
Mhm.
This is all part of mythology,
Right.
which came along with the Vedic period.
Vedic period.
So, but it came up. But
Okay.
what is the reality of that? We don't know.
Mhm.
Because mythology is mythology. For history, you need certain type of proofs.
Right. So this is before Buddhists and Jains.
Yeah,
Okay.
Vedic period.
Okay,
Most
Vedic.
of the mythology is created during Vedic period.
Vedic period. Okay. Mhm. Yeah, because we hear Prime Minister saying plastic surgery was practiced, so he was referring to probably this incident, and many more such things that he refers to in the ancient India. So I mean, it's good in a way to motivate the current generation to do scientific research. Nevertheless,
It discourages scientific research actually. Scientific research was encouraged in India by what Jawaharlal Nehru promoted as scientific temper,
Mhm.
by setting up institutions like IITs, CSIR, BRC, etc. That's what promoted scientific research. And these type of things are pushing us back.
Mhm.
That gravity was there in Vedas, and plastic surgery was there, atomic energy was there. So this
Yeah.
is all sort of a total, I think, fall back upon faith-based knowledge, which has no reality.
Right. But I mean, majority of the people do digest hook, line, and sinker when they hear such things, and they believe that.
Yeah, this is the current times. Now,
Mhm.
current times, there is a large section of people who are under the influence of Godmen,
Mhm.
one or the other Godmen.
Right.
Faith. As life becomes more insecure, you fall back to more faith-based understanding.
Mhm.
As you become more secure, inequality is less, you try to become more rational at
Right.
society level.
Uh-huh.
And that's what you will see in some of the Western societies. This scientific temper developed very strongly. And so these type of babas have no place in
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I mean, even Christian society had these problems that they persecuted scientists. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
but that
course.
they persecuted in 16th, 17th century. After that, science established itself, industry came up, scientific temper developed.
Yeah,
So it is second to none as far as social understanding is concerned.
right. Right. So would you suggest some authentic books on these ancient history that one
Yeah.
can refer to?
Sure, sure. I recently one of the best books has come up,
Mhm.
and this is The Indians.
Okay, by
This is
Devi.
edited by Dr. Ganesh Devi, Tony Joseph, and Ravi Corister.
Okay.
This is one of the best books, but there are
Okay.
many other sources. Like Tony Joseph's book is Early Indians, but that talks only of migrations.
Achha, I see. I see.
That talks only, and then this book has come up. And then Rumila Thopper's book is there, Early
Right.
India.
Romila, yeah. What about R.S. Sharma?
Excellent.
History of Middle. Okay. Okay.
Excellent.
And there is one more. I think Irfan Habib had History of Ancient and Early Medieval India.
Then Irfan Habib talks more of medieval India.
Medieval.
No, modern India.
Modern. Okay.
Modern and medieval. Medieval. So I'm confused. Irfan Habib talks more of medieval India, and he's superb. He's superb.
And Mr. Nalakanta Shastri, he has a book of The Wonder That Was India, a survey of history and culture of Indian subcontinent before coming of the Muslims. That was his book. I don't know how much he covered in that, which from where he started and.
But I think I'll go more by Romila Thapar, R.S. Sharma, even this Ganesh Devi and others book.
For Professor Romila Thapar, because I'm also on social media, she's been criticized on Twitter by the right-wing trolls like anything, and they accuse her of making up things and all that.
What else you expect from right-wing trolls? Because current is a time when they want to impose a particular version of history, which is favorable to their Hindu nationalist politics. Romila Thapar has studied, like, for example, she has studied Ashoka.
Yeah.
She has studied Ashoka not from the point of view of religion, but the point of view of the all aspects of society, culture, trade, human relations, worship. So she is a brilliant historian. I think she is second to none. But that interpretation of history is not matching the Hindu nationalist interpretation of history, which want to present a different level. That's why they're trolling.
Right, right. So the casteism that you described that started during the time of Brahmins,
Vedic period.
as Vedic period, was there kind of a collection of people as a rebellion against this, who then form a formidable power to replace it?
Yeah, see, gradually, you know, priestly class gets organized, and that becomes the organized religion.
Mhm.
That's how I think even in the earlier times, the organizations of priestly class came up in the form of organized religions.
Mhm.
And they had a good deal of authority because generally they were in alliance with the kings,
King, okay.
landlords.
Mhm.
And the alliance of
Powerful people. Okay.
kings, alliance of landlord kings and the priestly class was a central hallmark of these societies.
Right, right. Interesting. Yeah, so let us wrap up. I'm glad that you have highlighted this, that there were kings, there were many Bharatas, not just one Bharat, and they all had political interest. They were influencing the society in whichever way they would like to. And there were Cholas and Mauryas. They all had their own political ambitions, and they were fighting among themselves for whatever reason, as later on kings fight for to get the power, irrespective of whatever their spiritual beliefs and whatever their religion is. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm once again, thank you so much, Dr. Puniyani Ji. I'm very much thankful to you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Recording is ending.
Yeah.
You can send me the link of this.
Yeah, I will send you. Sure.
Where do you put up?
I'm in Hyderabad. I came to India in 2019. I was a long time in Europe and America. I came back with my family and I wanted to start my own technology company. Then lockdown started. So the area where we live are too many laborers from hand to mouth, daily wages. So at the first lockdown, they were the worst hit. So I started like food distribution, that then transformed to ration distribution. Then I set up my own NGO by the name SEUMP, Socioeconomic Upliftment of Marginalized People. Now, instead of feeding the fish, we are trying to teach them how to catch the fish, change our logo, and giving them different ways of sustainable income sources, teaching them, training them. And this we are doing irrespective of any, background, religion, caste, creed, nothing.
These videos you produce for what? These
Sorry?
videos. What is the aim?
Yeah, this is for enlightenment, for clearing the doubts.
You have some channel?
Our SEUMP channel is there, our trust channel. I'll post it on that. I'll also send you the link. Yeah. So my whole idea is, I think there are forces who are trying to manipulate Indian minds.
Right.
How we can educate them so that we can live as a society, respecting each other's beliefs, faiths, and helping each other in making India once again great. So this is a mammoth challenge for all of us who are on the other side of the fence. Times are different, but we hope things will change. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Inshallah, as you say, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Inshallah. Bye.